The following is a presentation of 912 Sports. Welcome to On Air with 912 Sports, your number one source for high school sports. With Shawn Smoke, Kevin Price, and Robbie Ross. On Air with 912 Sports is brought to you by Coastal Pines Technical College. Go Coastal. Prime South Bank. Find your prime. Robbie Robertson Ford, because Fords are cheaper in the swamp. Gibson Animal Clinic, practical solutions with limited fees. Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, the region's best orthopedic care. And Kim Smoke, licensed realtor with eXp Realty.
High schoolers, did you know that you can get a head start on your college career and save money at the same time through dual enrollment at Coastal Pines Technical College? Dual enrollment is open to high school juniors and seniors, tuition free. Talk to your high school counselor or visit coastalpines.edu for more information. Coastal Pines Technical College, an equal opportunity institution. Go Coastal.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
Play it loud and rev it up. Robbie Robinson's got trucks built for tough.
Make your way to Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, where the deals are bigger than ever. Looking for a stylish midsize car, a spacious SUV, or a truck that performs at work and play? Robbie Robertson wants your vehicle and is paying top dollar. Now is the time to buy. Fords are cheaper in the swamp.
Hey folks, welcome back to another week of the Smoke Report. As always, my name is Evan Smoke, and I'm here to give you the scores from the second round of the GHSA playoffs. That will be your November 17th scores. We're going to start in Warner Robins for the game of the week, and it was a heartbreaker for the Ware County Gators. The Demons hit a 42-yard field goal as time expired, sending the Gators home. Warner Robins 23, Ware County 21. I now drop to 4-2 in my picks so far, with both losses coming courtesy of my alma mater. Gotta be stopped being so much of a homer. We're going to go now to GIAA ball, where the Frederica Academy Knights get a 51-28 victory. The Knights now move on to the GIAA AAA Final Four with a matchup with Valwood later this week. We're going to go down to 1A Clinch, and the Panthers keep winning. Clinch moves on to the Elite Eight with a 35-16 victory over Seminole County in Homerville. Up to 2A, and the Bears stay hot, folks. Win in Blackshear, 35-14 for Pierce County over Laney High School. But we do have a shocker in 2A well. Over in Adale, there was a shocker as perennial favorite Appleton County, some thought could win the state title this year, falls to Cook County 24-14 on the road. Up to 4A, the Phoenix Flames are finally extinguished. New Hampstead falls on the road at Stars Mill, 45-27. Great season for Kyle Hockman and his staff. We're going to move over now to 5A, and the Trojans march on as they defeat Jones County 45-14 to make the Elite Eight at home in Douglas, with Jardine Stadium being the venue. Blue Devils season comes to an end, though, as they made the trip up to the Columbus area where they fell to Harris County. They rolled over the Blue Devils 42-7. Shipwreck for the Pirates, though, in 6A as Brunswick falls on the road to Marist 41-14. Get a big win in 7A, though. The Camden County Wildcats win on the road, and they defeat McEachern 26-0. That is our 11 games from last week, folks. We now have 5 teams moving on to their respective next rounds. Hats off to all the coaches on a great season, and can't wait to be here next week to update you guys on those 5 results. Until then, have a happy Thanksgiving.
At Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, you don't have to be an athlete to get the region's best orthopedic care. Our board-certified orthopedic surgeons and physicians treat injuries and conditions that affect just about any joint or bone in your body. Plus, we're backed by the support of Southeast Georgia Health System. From fracture repair to joint replacement, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery will get you moving again. Call 1-855-ASK-SGHS. That's 1-855-275-7447 or visit sghs.org/summit.
Gibson Animal Clinic is ready to help with your animals. From cats to dogs to horses, we treat them all. Call on us for grooming, bathing, boarding, and more serious things like surgery, dentistry, spay, neuter, immunizations, heartworm prevention, flea control, complete lab testing, radiology, preventive health care. Call us at 285-7678. Open Saturdays for your convenience. Gibson Animal Clinic. Practical solutions with reasonable fees. Russell J. Gibson, DVM.
Gibson Animal Clinic, 108 Riverside Drive, Waycross.
Hablamos español en nuestra clínica.
Welcome, sports fans, and thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports. I'm Shawn Spoke, publisher of 912 Sports, joined as always by head writer and podcast host Kevin Price. Kevin, how you doing today, buddy?
Good, Shawn. Good to be here with you talking high school football again. Obviously, Thanksgiving weekend coming up, and it's a football feast on Thanksgiving weekend. That's what I really like about that, in addition to all the other stuff. But big feast of football in the high school ranks. We're down to the nitty-gritty now. There is a saying, Shawn, I know it. If you're still playing high school football on Thanksgiving in the state of Georgia, you're having a pretty good season. Some people call it a successful season, and everything else is gravy. And that's where we are now in the GHSA semifinals and GIAA. So we're getting close to crowning state champions, and we still got some teams alive in the race.
And we're going to get into the 5 teams, but I want to start off by asking you a question. What to you was the biggest shocker from this past weekend?
Probably the teams that, that we lost, a couple of our heavyweights, I think. First of all, I guess Appleton County does come to mind. I mean, I thought that they were a shoe-in to at least reach this round, and they were probably going to play a Thompson team, so I thought. And then I know that has to make it hurt even worse that the team they thought they would probably be playing is not who they would have been playing if they won. And then I know Jenkins is not really in our true 912 coverage area, but they are in that region we cover, and they're a number 4 seed still alive going up to play almighty Cartersville. And they've really turned it on, Shawn, and I read some of the things their coach said, and they're a confident football team. I don't think they'll win this week, but again, they're playing on Thanksgiving weekend, so it's been a heck of a run by Jenkins.
Yeah, I mean, you go back, that's a 3-7 team, Kevin, going into the playoffs, and to get 2 rounds of wins there, that's a very, very impressive job. So congratulations to those guys. I think my biggest one was Bainbridge and Perry. Not so much that Perry won that game, but a 7-3 game, Kevin. And Bainbridge is, they scored 40-something points against the Ware County Gators, and they scored 3 against Perry and only give up 7. So really a weird, really weird score there in that game. And I thought Bainbridge would be one of those teams moving on to play for the 4A title. But, things happen in the playoffs, and unfortunately you get to take up uniforms on Monday, and that's where they're finding themselves with a lot of other teams here in the state. But let's jump right into it, Kevin. We're going to start in GIAA. Frederica at Valwood. Frederica coming off the big win this past Friday night. And, oh, by the way, Jordan Triplets chasing that mark in history there for running back for the most yards. But Valwood's a tough opponent, Kevin. 9-1, only lost to that North Florida Christian team. But this should be a good one there. Frederica got to travel over to Valdosta, so we'll see how this one shakes out. But Frederica going to have to play some really, really good football if they want to keep moving on.
Yeah, here's Frederica and Valwood in another big ball game. Shawn, back when Frederica kind of started getting rolling, having some success, Valwood was sort of their benchmark, their gauge. Right. They would schedule them to kind of see where they stood, their barometer. And here they are now going toe-to-toe with Valwood with a chance to move on to the state championship. One intriguing thing about this there are some subplots, of course, in this ball game, but one of them is that these two teams were supposed to play back in early September, that week that we had the hurricane, and of course Valdosta got a brunt of the storm in terms of southeast Georgia or South Georgia. And, that game got canceled along with several others. So we don't know what happened or would have happened that night. And I think that makes this game maybe, a little more intriguing from that standpoint. And then, of course, the Jordan Triplet angle, they've been chasing Frederica and Triplet have been chasing that GHSA mark set by Monty Williams of Commerce at 8,844 yards. He's about 114 away now from getting that record or chasing down that mark. And here's the thing, Shawn, if he doesn't run for somewhere in the 200 yards range, Frederica can forget about it. I think he needs 200 plus for Frederica to win the ball game, because they're going to need a lot of yards and probably a lot of points, and he's going to be the one doing the bulk of the work on offense behind his offensive line. So I would almost say if he doesn't go for at least 200, Frederica doesn't win this ball game, and it may really even be more than that. That's just a conservative mark. But here's the thing. Valwood plays good defense. They're only giving up a little over 15 points a game. I expect Frederica to get over that. But the thing is, their own defense is going to have to come up with some stops. So regardless of what Triplet and the offense does, I think this game's on the Frederica defense to hold Valwood down and give them a chance. Even if it's just one more stop in the shootout, they've got to make the key stops to win the ball game.
Kevin, in some light games, they both played Tiff area. They both played St. Andrews. They both played Terrell Academy. Here's the scores that Valwood scored: 41, 50, 52. Here's the scores that Frederica scored: 39, 49, 51. So we're talking about basically the same offensive score. The difference is on the defensive side. Tiff area, Valwood shut them out. Frederica won a shootout 39-34. You go back to St. Andrews, Valwood gave up 29. Frederica only gave up 13. And then you go back to Terrell, it was only 13 given up by Valwood, and Frederica gives up 28. So this is a game on paper, Kevin. When you start looking into the numbers, man, it really could go either way, because offensively, I think they're pretty even. And just like you said, which defense shows up? Is that good shutdown defense if Frederica show up, they're going to have a chance to win. If they don't, then it's probably going to be the end of the season for them. But should be a good one. A lot of eyes on the state will be looking at this game just to see what Jordan's numbers are. I'll be interested to tune in Friday night to see if he can get that mark. But we'll move on, Kevin. Now we'll go back over to GHSA. We'll go into Single A Division II. Manchester is going to come to Clinch County, so they got to come to the old boneyard over there at Homerville. Manchester 9-2 on the season. Clinch sitting there at 10-1. Clinch's only losses to Macon County, where Manchester's lost to two really, really good teams, Lamar and Sly. But it's we'll see how this thing shakes out. Clinch County beat Cook County back earlier in the season, 35-27, who just beat Appling County. So we know Clinch can play some really, really good football, but we'll see if they can get it done against Manchester on Friday.
Yeah, real good matchup here, a top 5 matchup if you go by rankings in the state, with only one of these teams being able to go on to the semifinal round. And like you said, Manchester lost to two really good teams, two playoff teams. Lamar County close early in the season, 17-14. And then you mentioned the region game, 27-7 that they lost, and that game was on the road. And, Clinch, of course, been rolling for several weeks now. This is going to be a defensive battle, I think, Shawn. Both of these defenses are championship-style defenses. Manchester has only given up 7 points a game for the season. That gets it done most nights, obviously. Yeah. And 3 straight shutouts, I believe, going back to the last regular season game, and then 2 in the playoffs. Clinch, no slouch on defense either, giving up just less than 14 points a game. So I think this could be a race to 20 maybe. And, I think both teams are going to have to find a way to get some chunk plays, and they're going to have a hard time grinding the ball out against these two defenses. So I think, maybe the defense that carries the way again, their team wins the ball game and moves on to the semifinals.
And we'll move on up, Kevin, to Double A. We got Fellowship Christian coming to Bearville to play the Pierce County Bears. Pierce coming off that big win over Laney, a tight game, Kevin. I think it was only like 14-8 going into half. Then this game was actually tied at 14 late in the third quarter, but Pierce finds a way to get a 35-14 victory. Then you've got Fellowship Christian coming into the game, only 2 losses on the season. Lost to Raven County, which is a single A school, and then lost to Trinity Christian. But this Fellowship Christian team can score. They hung 63 on North Murray last week. But again, they got to play that tough Pierce County defense.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, this Fellowship Christian team can score. You look at their scores, and they can put points on the board in a hurry. 63 last week, scored 73 earlier this season, Shawn, against Providence Christian. And, you mentioned 2 losses they have, both the playoff teams, even though Raven County is a smaller school by a classification. They're into the quarterfinals this week down in the single A ranks. And then they lost to Trinity Christian, which not all that long ago was a GIAA school. Then they became a small GHSA school, and they've just gradually gotten bigger, and they're already playing in 4A. That's kind of hard to believe. But this is a rematch, Shawn, of a game last year that Pierce lost in the playoffs. That put them out. I think that's going to play into their hands, plus the fact that they are playing at home. So you got the revenge factor. You got the home field advantage factor, and you've got that tough Pierce County defense that you mentioned. And I think, again, defense is going to carry it away for Pierce. I think this is going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight, but I do think it's a winnable game for Pierce, certainly at home, and I would love to see them move on and play in the semifinals next week with a chance to play for that state championship once again.
Laney came into that game last week, Kevin, and scored 67 the previous week. Only got 14 against Pierce, so they definitely can put the clamps on you there on the defensive side of the ball, so we'll see if they can get it done. Hey, y'all stick around. We got a couple more games here coming up this Friday night, but you're watching On Air with 912 Sports.
High schoolers, did you know that you can get a head start on your college career and save money at the same time through dual enrollment at Coastal Pines Technical College? Dual enrollment is open to high school juniors and seniors, tuition free. Talk to your high school counselor or visit coastalpines.edu for more information. Coastal Pines Technical College, an equal opportunity institution. Go Coastal.
Welcome back, sports fans, and thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports. I'm Shawn Smoke. He's Kevin Price, and we're talking about the third round of the state playoffs here, playing on Thanksgiving weekend, the Friday after Thanksgiving. Kevin, the first game we're going to talk about in this segment is the 5A Coffee County Trojans, still playing there, 12-0 on the season, just having a magnificent run there. They're going to face Cass. Cass got to come to Coffee. That's going to be a long haul for that bunch. Cass with a couple of losses to good teams earlier in the year, lost to Rome, lost to Rockmart, but they're sitting there at 7-5 on the season, Kevin. That doesn't add up very well on paper when you got to go play a 12-0 team because Coffee County is clicking on all cylinders. Fred Brown had another big night this past Friday night, Kevin, 33 for 235 with 2 touchdowns. And you got to think that's going to be Coffee's plan going forward. Just, hand the ball to Fred Brown, let him eat clock and play great defense because they've been doing all those things.
Yeah, well, going back to the first round, Cass beat Kell, and Kell's who I had in my brackets. I think you did too, as far as winning that ball game. I think a lot of people probably did. So we certainly didn't think Cass to be here a couple of rounds later, playing in the quarterfinals against the number 1 team in Coffee on their home field. And you mentioned their record, 7-5. That's not all that appealing. And when you go inside the record, you do realize, as you mentioned, that they lost to good teams, 5 playoff teams, including Rome, a 6A team that is in the quarterfinals this week there in Class 6A. But if you continue to look at their numbers and look at scores, Shawn, they gave up 30 points or more in 3 of those 5 losses. And you mentioned Big Fred Brown. I know they're going to give him a heavy dose of carries Friday night. I think this Coffee team is just going to wear this Cass team down, and I wouldn't be surprised if they give up 30-plus in this one. And Coffee, I think, is going to march on. This is one of the easier games, I think, in terms of our teams and surviving to the next round. I think Coffee's looked really good, so far throughout the season and the first couple of rounds of the state playoffs. And I think they'll march on with another probably routine victory on a Friday night for the Trojans over there in Douglas.
Yeah, Kevin, it's not just the offensive side of the ball. You've got people like Tyreek Edwards, Elgin Polk. These guys are playing lights out. Tyreek Edwards had one fumble recovery, 85-yard, had 2 INTs, one that was returned 85 yards for a touchdown, and 4 tackles on the night on last week. And then Elgin Polk with 11 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, and 3 sacks. So these guys not only are getting it done on the offensive side of the ball, man, they're getting it done on the defensive side of the ball as well.
Yeah, no question. I mean, they're solid on both sides of the football. They got that good punishing ground game, so they can, score points on you in a hurry, but they can also grind out that clock. And when they play tough defense like they do, they get up a couple of scores. They're tough to come back again. So this Coffee team is loaded for bear. They've got a real good chance to win it all. They just got to stay the course game by game. And this is another one that they should win. They just got to go get the job done Friday night.
Can't get ahead of yourself. They got to play the one in front of them, just like you said. And if they do that, I think they're going to be playing in Atlanta for all of it. But next game up, Kevin, 7A. The Camden County Wildcats are back to their previous years where they've been in the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and moving on. So we'll see how this team can do. But what a great win from them this past Friday night, going on the road to McEachern, a storied program here in the state, getting not only a win, Kevin, but a shutout. Defense played excellent. Offense, controlled that clock, controlled the football, and really took over that game. But, oh, by the way, they got to go on the road and play 12-0 Mill Creek, the defending 7A state champions. These guys are lights out. They've beaten some really, really good football teams. As a matter of fact, Kevin, the only 2 teams that's been single digits close to Mill Creek has been Buford and Collins Hill. So they're going to have their hands full going up to take on Mill Creek, but we'll see how things shake out on Friday night.
Yeah, for sure. This is Camden back in the quarterfinals, the final 8 for the first time since Jeff Herron was there in his first stint back in 2012. So they've had a successful season. If you talk about it in terms of playing on the Thanksgiving weekend, they're back there where, Camden feels like they certainly belong. And Shawn, a couple of things to mention. They went on the road, as we both know, twice in the first 2 rounds and won games on another team's field up in Metro Atlanta, from as far as in South Georgia as you can go before you reach the state of Florida. And they're the only team in the 7A bracket to do that. A lot of heavyweights in that 7A bracket. The teams that we expected to be there are there. And, for Camden and for Colquitt both, they're both still alive from Region 1. They knew if they got this far, then it was going to be a heavyweight matchup against somebody really good. I mean, you got Carrollton and Walton playing. You got this game with Camden and Mill Creek. Colquitt's playing Milton. And up there in the top bracket, it's Buford against who I forget now who they're playing. But anyway, drew a blank on it. But a lot of really, really good teams out there. And when you look at this Camden game, Shawn, they're playing a Mill Creek team that comes off the state championship last year. They won their final 8 games in a 14-1 season a year ago, plus the 12 they've won this year to this point. So they've won their last 20. But this Camden team late in the season has kind of hit its stride. They've kept added on that wing tee offense, and they're looking like the wing tee of old down there. Their defense has played really well the last 2 weeks, playing a good game against a Newton team that can score a lot of points and rack up yards. They gave up 2 early touchdowns, and that was it, and shut them out in the second half. And then, of course, had to shut out last week. So this is going to be a tough game for Camden. I mean, Mill Creek is really, really good, really sound on both sides of the ball, but they're there with a chance, and that's all you can really ask for. And, they're going to have some good breaks, some good fortune. Some things are going to have to go their way, and maybe Mill Creek's going to have to make some mistakes. But when they do, hopefully Camden can pounce on those mistakes. And, this would be an upset victory by most people around the state, but hopefully Camden will carry that underdog role and play well, and we'll see what happens.
Well, anything can happen, Kevin, especially if they can have some third quarters like they had against Newton. They can control and keep that high-powered Mill Creek offense on the sideline. So, listen, Jeff Herron, if anybody can get it done, it'll be Jeff Herron and the Camden County Wildcats. So we'll see how that one shakes out. And the game you had that slipped your mind, Kevin, is Grayson.
Grace.
Grayson in that round. But it's like you said, man, all the blue bloods are still there in 7A. There's no, holy cow, how did they get there? All these guys belong at this point, and it's going to be a really, really good 7A state championship coming up. But that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. Get out and see a high school football game. Stick around. Evan's got his game of the week coming up right after these messages, and you're watching On Air with 912 Sports.
At Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, you don't have to be an athlete to get the region's best orthopedic care. Our board-certified orthopedic surgeons and physicians treat injuries and conditions that affect just about any joint or bone in your body. Plus, we're backed by the support of Southeast Georgia Health System. From fracture repair to joint replacement, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery will get you moving again. Call 1-855-ASK-SGHS. That's 1-855-275-7447 or visit sghs.org/summit.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
Hey folks, if you weren't here earlier in the show, you would have heard that I fell to 4-2 in my picks. Ware County lost on a last-second field goal to the second round of the GHSA state playoffs to the Warner Robin Demons, final score being 23-21 in favor of the Demons. Like I said earlier, I'm now 4-2. My two losses coming courtesy of my alma mater. Like I mentioned earlier, stop being such a homer, Evan. But going into this week, the triple round of the playoffs, the Elite Eight, we get Pierce County hosting the team that put them out last year, Fellowship Christian. Fellowship Christian is a private school out of Roswell who beat the Bears last year to put the end to the season that Pierce County had in 2022. As for 2023, they won the coin toss since Fellowship Christian and Pierce County were both one seeds. Fellowship Christian now has to make the trip down south to Blackshear. Because of the vengeful method, because of the location, I'm going to take Pierce County by double digits on Friday night. If you agree with me, please let me know in the email below. Would love to get your feedback. And if you don't agree with me, I'd love to hear it too. Want to hear all sides of the situation. But as always, my name is Evan Smoke. Even though I'm 4-2 now, I'm still going to take my undefeated streak when I'm not picking Ware County up against the test here this Friday night. Give me the Bears. Let me know. And as always, I want all the smoke. Hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving.
Play it loud and rev it up. Robbie Robertson's got trucks built for tough.
Make your way to Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, where the deals are bigger than ever. Looking for a stylish midsize car, a spacious SUV, or a truck that performs at work and play? Robbie Robertson wants your vehicle and is paying top dollar. Now is the time to buy. Fords are cheaper in the swamp.
Gibson Animal Clinic is ready to help with your animals. From cats to dogs to horses, we treat them all. Calling us for grooming, bathing, boarding, and more serious things like surgery, dentistry, spay, neuter, immunizations, heartworm prevention, flea control, complete lab testing, radiology, preventive health care. Call us at 285-7678. Open Saturdays for your convenience. Gibson Animal Clinic. Practical solutions with reasonable fees. Russell J. Gibson, DVM.
Gibson Animal Clinic, 108 Riverside Drive, Waycross.
Hablamos español en nuestra clínica.
This has been a presentation of 912 Sports.